crypto market is going through a lot of drama. This is important to understand because if you do look at this, there is a lot of FUD coming into the market, but there's a lot of reality in it too. So how can it be FUD? What's the reality? This is what you need to understand, because the way people will portray about what's happening will show you like crypto is done. There is no tomorrow in crypto. 85% of all of this biggest chunk is from Binance, and then they add on Tether. But when you actually go look at Tether, you see there's a lot of volume coming from they individually. So if we separate Binance, this becomes a smaller number. Now, what's the reality? That's what you should understand, and that's what the market is reacting upon. So the market did move down, the market did bounce back up. So as the news came out, you got some big volatility coming all the way back down to 36,200. Now it bounced back up to 37,200 and is right now at 37,132. Now, what does this mean for altcoins? What does this actually mean for a lot of these different assets when it's so volatile? Yes, you will see a lot of these coins doing some sort of correction, but the biggest corrections are in those assets which actually went a lot up in the recent days. Others are average 3-5% move to the downside. Think about this for a moment. When a news like this hits the market, if the market is still holding on to this point, there is something happening behind the scenes. What is it? Is it an opportunity or is it a danger sign? So for those who are looking at the macro perspective, they do understand like this is what we are looking like on a monthly chart. This is what historically has followed through, and these kind of movements will be a part of this market. That's one of the primary reasons why earlier we actually plotted this. So this is like 3 weeks back, while putting the argument like, watch, we do have these kind of area where we move up. Now this is when we were 35,000. Now we went close to 38,000. That's kind of giving you the idea we are doing something similar. So I don't think we are going back to a bear market with this news. What I personally think is that this can actually go a little bit down, create some volatility, kick a lot of people outside, and then move back up. That's going to be a big push here. So if you are watching this, now the primary question which a lot of people would be asking is like, should I get out of the market? It's completely upon what you want to do, but do consider this. Historically, when we do this kind of a movement in the market, you get a lot of volatility. Let it be something where you're watching 3-4 years back, right? You're breaking through the moving average and you get this volatility. You run a little bit up, you get that volatility. You go back up, you get that signal like, the market is going to go down, and it still continues to run to the upside. So if you do keep in mind that the RSI is not in this range, it is here at the bottom. What does that mean? 57 historically is this range, which means it also matches up with the movement of price and the moving average on a monthly chart, right? We're not talking about a short-term horizon, short-term fluctuations. This is a macro chart which we are watching, and we understand the fact that we are now above the moving average on the RSI terms, which kind of goes back into this range saying, okay, more or less we are here. So you do get volatility. Now, if you do zoom in on a shorter horizon, on a weekly, on a daily, to note what it was like, you will now agree on something. Yeah, the pattern looks somewhat similar. You had the support resistance zone, you went back up, you came back down, you bounced off. Great. Now, this is something we have seen again and again and again in the market. You go back up, you break and retest and bounce off. So if that's true for like all these long years, why shouldn't that be a probability? One of the primary reasons we are looking at this is because of what's happening. It's saying, I made mistakes and I must take responsibility. So the other news outlets are actually giving you the idea that the house of cards is collapsing, with all the ETFs soon to be denied. So that's like a speculation from the end, which is pushing the negative run. But do you think that's going to be one of the cases? I personally think when you actually look at the FTX issue, you will understand this. Okay, FTX kind of hurt a lot of big US people. They're not happy with this particular guy. I'm not saying he's not making any mistakes. He himself admits that he has taken that responsibility for those mistakes which he has done. But if you do look at how things have evolved during the time, you'll understand something. Yeah, it's actually important to look at this and put the argument in, okay, what are I looking at? What are you looking at? There has been something like this in the past, and we've came through that. So we understand that. Now, that's exactly what I would like to ask all of you guys. If you think crypto market is about to go back down to zero or way lower than this level, you need to think about this. The first big shot was the Luna terror. It was here. One of the biggest exchange in that terminology is FTX, and that was this shock. That was while we were trending to the downside. This was what we were doing back then. Right now, you're watching that the price is going higher, it's trending higher, and inside that trend, you're watching some negative news coming into the market. So if you do put the perspective of, okay, we have a trend line support, it also happens to be somewhat close to this range. So if the price comes to this range and bounce off, that's still about $30,000. Remember, just a month back, we were below $30,000. $30,000 has been acting as a strong resistance for an extended period of time. So we were trying to do that from earlier this year. We were getting rejected. Now that we broke above that range, it is going to be a support. So if you put in your perspective on a short term, it's completely fine. There is going to be volatility. Market will shake a lot of different individuals out. But if you are not levered to your teeth, if you are not 10, 20, 30, 40x levered, you are going to be fine. And if you are in 3L positions where the liquidation risks are comparatively zero, you are now looking at this like, okay, I don't care about the short-term volatility. Why? Because if this turn is going to act somewhat like this, say a drop, which is like 2 weeks, and a consolidation for like a month and a half, and then you go back up, I'm fine. Because that's what matters. The trend, the ultimate direction is what matters. But if you do panic and sell here, thinking, okay, I'll buy lower, it's up to your personal decision. But think about this. If your actual average is here, and you have some level of profit at this time, and you're selling everything, and you want to rebuy this asset at this support, now you increase your average. So that literally increases your risk tolerance in the market. So now you're saying, okay, I have a higher risk taking ability, but is it so? Maybe you're willing to take risk, but you may not have the ability to take risk. So you have to take that judgment. Now we come back to XRP. We got rejected at this point. We're coming back down. We are retesting the weekly moving average. That's a 21-day moving average on a weekly. So when we broke that to the downside, that was acting as a resistance. Each time you go back up, you get rejected. So once, twice, and then boom, you go down. Now it's the opposite. You went up, you're testing this one. Now you're testing this and bouncing two. Now you're retesting it again. So any kind of bounce from this range should gather some momentum. One of the primary reasons here is that Ether and XRP has not been named as what? Securities, even in the recent SEC lawsuit. They kind of sued Kraken with that. So we are literally watching one by one negative news coming into the market at a time when the price action is going back to the upside. So on a short-term basis, if you are looking at the market, you are literally watching all these volatility going through. Like, what the hell is really happening here, right? We had a long candle to the downside. Someone, for some reason, bought all of them up. Then you're having indecision candles on a 4-hour for last 8 hours, which kind of shows you like there is a lot of volatility and opinions in the market, with some of them being bullish, some of them trying to push the market to the upside. So one of the easy questions for you to look at is, where are you going now? At least, where are we right now? What on earth is happening with the price action right here, right now? When you look at this trend and put the argument, you don't have a negative divergence in the market, whether you are looking at it on a weekly or on a daily. We had some here, then we started correcting lower. Now, the lower is from 38,000 towards 34,700. That's not a big drop in my opinion. I'm looking at this and saying like, okay, this is what we're doing. So if you break 35,340, that's when your next support level gets opened, which is 33,500. And if that too breaks, that's the only time where you're looking at talking about $31,000 in Bitcoin. But as we have seen historically, what's the level of correction or the depth of correction when this correction comes back into the picture? This, I mean, is critical and important. That's like a 20% drop. So now a 20% drop in Bitcoin from the current range of local top would actually put you somewhere close to 30,000. So if you pick the top, it's this range. So it kind of makes some sense to say, okay, we're doing somewhat similar price action, the movement, which looks fine. If you are here looking at opportunities, this is what you are going to get. If you are a holder, that's like, okay, it's adding another 10 to 15 days in your rally. It's literally going to be painful while you watch this correction and it going back up. So have that understanding and stay in the market. Look at how things are evolving. If big investors are jumping out, you will watch that happening on a weekly chart. There will be correction, there will be a retest, and that will fail. If that's failing, now you can say, okay, there is something wrong. But as of now, there is nothing in the market showing you that you're going back down to this level. Because if you put this on a narrative, you're literally making higher highs. So any drop here towards 29,000, 30,000 is going to be getting some level of support and bouncing off to the upside. So guys, if you received value for your time, please do hit that like and subscribe button. And if you are looking for any of these updates on all of these assets to know where your supports are, because at this moment, your support zones are really important. You want to see if you hit your target, how low can you actually come down before some big guys will come in and buy that. So if you are looking for that kind of updates on the right asset on the right time, look at the Patreon. The link is given in the description below. If you are on YouTube, if you're on Twitter, it's on the bio. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.